Greetings, fellow RPG geeks. My name's Tim. I go by SamY7 on YouTube and on some of the other RPG forums. I wanted to talk to you today about Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd Edition Encyclopedia Magica. Ever since I've seen these books in, I think it was like a Walden bookstore, still a local library or local bookstore around here, I've always wanted them. They just looked cool. There were four books, come in different colors. There's like the maroon one. And it's hard to tell. There's a TSR logo, if you can see that. TSR logo on the front. There's a red one. There's a green one. And there's a blue one, which is also has an index in it. I'm not really even sure if this is 2nd edition because it doesn't have 2nd edition here on the binding like the others do. So, I don't know, but they're really cool. It's essentially just over 1,000 pages of magical items that I think they're amazing. I can't talk enough about them. Like I said, I saw these when I was a little kid, even before I played role-playing games. And I just thought they looked neat. I've always been kind of my Barney was the animated Lord of the Rings movies, The Hobbit, the Bakshi, as the poster in the back here says, Rankin and Bass animated, Return of the King and Hobbit. So I grew up on that stuff. So when I saw these books in the bookstore, I wanted to get in on that action. I didn't know what that was. I thought it was cool. But of course, when you're a little kid, I didn't have a lot of money as far as allowances go, so I didn't have enough money to buy them. So, it was one of those unfulfilled things as a kid. No, I wanted to buy that. Can't buy it. Oh well, move on. But years later, I was at, I like to go to used bookstores, and there they were. They were sitting there. Some parents must have cleaned out their son's I don't know, a closet or something, or someone just got tired of having them and not using them, But if you flip through the first book here, let's see. The first book has all kinds of items that go from the abacus of calculation to the dust of blending. The second book goes from the decoy dust to the phylactery of righteousness. So you kind of see the encyclopedia thing is basically just a listing of all these items. And the green one, the pick of earth parting to thesis on conditional ruptures, which is a spell book. And the last one, like I said, this has the address, or not the address, but the index in it. It goes from theories of converging transitions, which is a spell book, to the Zywoback of Zemergy, which I don't think I pronounced that right, but you get the point. But there are just thousands of items in here, and the illustrations are great. They have that old school feel to them. The skeletons and, I don't know, you can really make that out. But they're just sweet. Even if you don't, I'm a big rules light RPG guy. Barbarians of Lemuria is one of my favorite games. I know my players usually like a little bit more crunch. But I'm mostly GM games these days, and I love the system. So for me, you're wondering, well, why do you want hundreds of magic items for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd Edition, which has its issues. Well, it's easy. You can describe RPG, magical items in a rules light system fairly easily. If an item does X, Y, and Z, you just make that whatever that is for your, you basically just, translate it to whatever game you're playing. So we'll just take a random item, see what we can find here. Okay, the Harmonizer on page 1374 as a sword especially made for thieves. That's awesome. Some random item I just flipped to. It's a sword for thieves. Across its shiny surface are etched images of wizard performing a ritual over 5 swords that can be clearly seen. So they describe the items in detail. So even if you are using a rules light system like Fudge or Fate, something like that, you just describe it and say what it does. Now, granted, you might have to go through and get a advanced Dungeons and Dragons Second Edition players handbook to figure out what the actual spells do. But as far as the descriptors, you can use that for anything, just any system. So, I mean, it's like a treasure trove. I've heard people say that the rules cyclopedia for original Dungeons and Dragons is one of the things that wasn't very popular when it first came out, but later people realized how much of a gem it was because it just combined everything into one book. Well, although these are 4 honking books here, there's so much wealth of information that can be found in them. If you find them at a used bookstore, or maybe you can buy them on Amazon or any of these other online places, I highly recommend it. It's just chock full of awesome. I don't know what else I could say about it. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to try to make a few more of these videos, I think, see how they will look. I had to darken the windows because my face looked like it was like a headlight for a second. But, well, thank you for watching, and hopefully there's more in the future.